From the Charleston Area Justice Ministry to the latest on possible development in the Maryville-Ashleyville neighborhoods of West Ashley, to Greg Mullen retiring as Charleston Police Chief, Charleston City Mayor John Tecklenburg sits down with me for the special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups.
Mayor Tecklenburg, it is so good to see you again.
Quintin, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for what you do.
I appreciate that.
Getting information out to the public. It's really a great personal mission of yours, and I thank you for it.
Thank you. It's God called me to do, so here I am.
Yes, sir.
Well, here we are sitting inside City Hall, and there's so many issues going on right now. I gotta ask you this: what is it like to be you?
What is it like to be me?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's terrific. I love being me and being mayor of this city. It's the most remarkable experience I think you could ever have.
Let me turn to the obvious. Maryville-Ashleyville. We've heard a lot of news about possible development coming with Crescent Homes. You even have former state leaders chiming into this issue. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fiction as well as facts coming out of this issue.
Right.
As we sit here right now, what is the future of Maryville-Ashleyville in your mind?
The future of Maryville-Ashleyville is a wonderful single-family residential neighborhood with parks that are getting better and being improved, and access to shopping not too far away. But zoning is a powerful thing.
Right.
It's a one tool that city government has to shape future development and growth. And even though some parcels in the neighborhood are in the county, most are in the city, right, it's all zoned single-family residential. It's and so the basic character of that neighborhood is not going to change. And in addition to that, we have plans to build a beautiful park, Bender Park. We completed a pier down at Higgins
right.
Pier for the neighbors to enjoy. And I want to add a safe crossing for the bikeway across Highway 61 to kind of reconnect Maryville and Ashleyville. That's kind of been split by the highway. And as I think you know, we're doing an incredible drainage project over there to increase the flow of water away from particularly the Maryville side. So I see a bright future for the neighborhood.
The resolution. The Charleston City Paper's Dustin Waters wrote this in his article on June 21st. He said this, quote, Councilman James Lewis submitted a resolution calling on the city to hire a specialized firm to audit the police department, modeling the assessment after one requested by the city of Madison, Wisconsin. Obviously, that resolution was shot down 7-5 last week because you guys want to keep Novak as a consulting firm, and they'll do the auditing for the police department and other departments later on. I know Councilman Keith Warren said in the city council meeting that politics won that night. Did it in your mind?
Yeah, I think the process won, and the process is a good one, which we followed, and that's to hire, a consulting firm by the way that the city normally does business. I mean, the misnomer about this whole matter is that, the city is doing a racial bias audit of our policing.
Sure.
We want to make sure that although we think our police department is doing a great job, that they're accountable, just like any other department in the city. And so we specifically included in our request for proposals for a consultant to help the city with a review and audit of all kinds of matters in the city, that they specifically be able to conduct a review of any potential bias in the police department.
Okay.
And if they need some help getting that done, they were the best respondent to our RFP. If they need some help getting that done, they can always find somebody else to help them do it, to add a little expertise or whatever. So it's a little baffling, Quintin, to be honest with you, that have this group and even some of our council members demanding that we have a different firm do something that we've already agreed to do. Right. City council voted unanimously in February to hire a firm that would in fact do the kind of review that's being asked to do. So we're just going to follow our process and do a good job And I'm very confident that, that's going to happen.
Speaking of which, the Charleston Area Justice Ministry, you said the following to them last Tuesday at City Council meeting, quote, "We're going to do an audit. There's a need for accountability, but y'all have really denigrated our police force, and I don't appreciate it. I think you've assaulted our police chief, and I think you've assaulted our police department, and I think that was improper and incorrect." Talk to me more about how they have really denigrated the police force in your mind.
Well, if you look at some of the comments that their membership has made at City Council
Right.
over the last month and a half, some of them were very insulting, and even some comments about Chief Mullen were, I think, an assault on his character. So, you know, when they suggest we needed to do this, Madison, Wisconsin model, where if you look point by point at what maybe they needed to do in Madison, but this is Charleston, South Carolina. This is Madison, Wisconsin. And there are many matters that they were investigating up there that we really are doing a great job here. For example, partnering with Charleston Dorchester Mental Health Agency to make sure that our police department is respectful of a situation where, a citizen who's misbehaving, maybe he's not really a criminal, maybe he's got a little mental issue that he's dealing with. So you deal with that individual a little differently, and officers get training in order to do that. And we're doing that kind of thing. So why do I need to pay for an audit of something that's really working just fine? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? And so, anyway, that's part of it. And it's an unfortunate thing, because we really have the same goal in mind as the Charleston Area Justice Ministry to be fair in our policing. We certainly are attempting to do that. The only intentional bias of our police department against those folks that break the law. I mean, we're going after people who break the law, and we want to treat everyone as fairly as possible. That's our goal. And sure we need to be accountable and review our numbers and statistics, and we're going to do that.
Charleston Police Chief Greg Mullen announced his retirement. That was the June 13th headline on charlestoncitypaper.com. As you know, Chief Mullen will retire after 35 years in law enforcement, 11 years with this Charleston Police Department. If you could go back and rewrite the headline, what would you add to that?
Well, I just want to thank him for doing such a great job during the last part of his career here in Charleston. He's really brought the Charleston Police Force in the 21st century, and over the last couple of years introduced this illumination project, which that's the other, I guess, hard to understand issue about what the Justice Ministry wants and the city, is that we are engaged in this remarkable multifaceted project to in fact build trust between our police and our citizens, with meetings and training and statistics and openness and putting our numbers out on the internet. And I mean, you can just go down the list. We are doing more than any police department in the country, and they don't want to participate in that. You know, they came to a illumination project meeting about a year ago, and rather than being constructive and trying to participate and be positive, they were disruptive and basically disrupted the meeting. So we want to work with people, who want to work with us, and so I would hope we can do that in the future.
The carriage industry. The headlines over the past couple of months read like this: Charleston Carriage Horse Jones driver to the street for the second time a month, horse removed from service. Another one, Charleston Carriage Industry supports scientific study of the industry. Where is the city of Charleston, when it comes to horses and the carriage industry right now?
Well, we took action just a couple of months ago to reduce not just the temperature, but the heat index of you know, the ambient temperature and heat index upon which horses are allowed to work in the city. I thought it was a very caring, appropriate thing to do. Our heat index had been at 125 degrees, which is pretty hot when the heat index gets that. But we reduced that 15 degrees to 110 degrees, and the temperature from 98 to 95. But the index change was really more substantial and important in terms of thinking about the conditions that, the heat conditions that the horses work under. So I was really surprised that the animal activist folks were against that. You would think they would want to reduce the temperature that the horses are asked to work under. But anyway, they were opposed to it. And I think that was good policy of the city of Charleston. And regarding these accidents, we will address that. We find that if folks are following too closely to the back of a carriage, that when on occasion, and there's 40,000 or so carriage rides a year in Charleston, which is a lot, and occasionally an animal will be, quote, spooked or scared, and apparently the first thing they do is to back up. Or often that's the first thing they'll do is back up. So if there's a car following very closely, the carriage can hit the front of the car. So we're going to ask, think about how closely folks ought to be following a car, just like you shouldn't get right behind a cement mixer. So we're addressing those things, but I feel good about the changes we've made so far.
James Allen. The following headline in the Post-Inquiry on June 23rd, that is, said the following, quote, James Allen Development Moratorium goes too far. Charleston Planning Commission says. Has it gone too far, Mayor?
Well, the important thing is to work with our other governmental partners, the county, the town of James Island, the town of Folly Beach, the Public Service District, and for us all to get on the same page in terms of zoning and what's allowed. Gets back to that power of zoning. And apparently some years ago there was a proposed overlay district for the commercial area of James Island, and it didn't pass for whatever reason. I think there was a disagreement about the height that would be allowed. So we want to take a fresh look at that and see if we can revisit it and come to an agreement so that everybody, those governmental partners are kind of on the same page of music as to what's allowed. And the moratorium just gives a little pause. It's not a long time for us to be able to get together and try to put those zoning changes in place. Already 6, almost 8 weeks has passed by, and we're getting going with that effort. We got a meeting scheduled with the appropriate folks in planning departments, and we hope to have some results by the end of the 6 months.
Quickly, which one? Would you rather have a public safety director or a new police chief in doing your national police search?
Well, what we're going to be doing is a search for a new police chief and a new fire chief.
Okay, that's good to hear. Well, Mayor John Tecklenburg, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin.
Thank you.